Great. So we have a really good panel today, and as you get the questions in your mind, please feel free to ask them. We're talking about artificial intelligence, and I just did a little research. So artificial intelligence, the actual idea goes back to an Indian philosopher, Charvaka, in 1500 BC. And the idea, Aristotle talked about artificial intelligence and the mechanical Turk. And you know, in the recent history, many of us, how many people here have seen 2001? Okay, so about half the audience. For those of you who have seen 2001, I call 2001 the jaws of AI because it's got everyone sort of freaked out. But about artificial intelligence, are we asking the right questions? So we're very, very happy to have Poonam Goyal from Reuters, who's covered the retail space for 15 years, and Michael Gutelli, I always get choked up when I say his name, who has a lot of experience in the automotive industry. So I guess the question really is, what is the state of sort of artificial intelligence and in retail, and then how have consumer expectations changed in the last sort of few years?
Sure, thank you, Dan. I'm from Bloomberg.
Bloomberg,
just
sorry.
To clarify. AI, when I think of AI, it's really been thrown around all over the place in retail. AI, we're after AI. AI to me really is just use of data. So it's about taking the data that you have and taking good data, whether it's structured or unstructured, and having it help you better connect with your customer, better your supply chain, and just make better decisions around your entire organization. And that's really AI. Now, you asked who and how far along we may be in AI, perhaps. For me, the companies that I cover, and I cover the department stores and apparel retailers, I think we're just scratching the surface. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say most apparel retailers are still probably at a 1 or a 2. So there's a long way to go. They're just starting to understand how they can use all this data that they have and really integrate it into their organizations, which for most of them are legacy systems that have been around for 100 years if you look at the department stores. And it's a process to embed AI, to change, and to change fast.
So when you buy a car or a truck, there's a notion that you've sort of bought the car and you have the oil is due to be changed in so many thousands of miles, and the tires will last so long, and so there's a whole sort of understanding of the customer journey and the cycle. But when you buy a handbag from Kate Spade, there's a little bit of maybe they don't know that you bought the handbag, and maybe there's an opportunity to sell a dress and some shoes. So are there some certain things that the retail industry can learn from the auto industry in terms of the customer journey and knowing the purchase cycle?
Yeah, I mean, you can talk probably more about the autos, but absolutely. Right now, the way the retailers operate is you make a transaction, you purchase something, you walk away, and that's it. The transaction's complete. It's over. There's no connection. There's no comeback for this. So what retailers need to do a better job at, as you described, if I go into, let's say, the Gap, and I buy, and I'm just going to use kids as an example because I shop for them all the time, but if I buy my kids, blue overalls, and I walk out the store, next week there's a nice denim jacket or something that would complement it. You as a retailer have an opportunity to get me back in the store using my purchase history to say, hey, you just bought this. We have this to complement it. Would you be interested? Now you're speaking to me. You're speaking to me, not to a cohort, not to your entire audience, not to a segment of your customer base. We have to move forward with one-to-one marketing. A customer, a shopper, wants to now be connected to the retailer in a way that they've never been connected before. And that's because others are doing it. The legacy retailers can't do this, but you have smaller shops that are digital native that are coming and they're connecting with you because they're built on AI. They're built on these systems that can talk to each other without any friction. And the auto industry does it well, and perhaps you can talk about it, but I think they do a phenomenal job at this.
Yeah, so I think the big thing about, automotive business and the retailer space is we have it, the vehicle will tell me, and this is any vehicle, not just, clients I represent, but any current vehicle will tell you when you're due for your oil, when your tires are low, different things like that. Your alignment is off. You can feel it. There are apps in place now that are connected to your vehicle, the smart vehicles, that will alert you based on your driving habits, how far you go every day. That it will be a little bit more predictive. We'll call it predictive AI in this case. That will alert you, say in 5 weeks, in 6 weeks, it looks like you're going to be due for an oil change based on your driving habits. Would you like to schedule that appointment now? Get me into the retail space. Get me to bring my vehicle in. I have my sales guy that I can go to, or woman for that matter, and they could say, hey, we know you just got your lease a year ago. You're going to be up soon. We'd like to show you the new model that's coming out, or show you a pamphlet or whatnot of what's to come. Here's some deals that are on the table. Maybe your wife needs a new vehicle because she's not on a lease. Have you thought about a trade-in? So it's encouraging a bit of a future transaction, so to speak, but they're getting me into the showroom. Gives me an opportunity to look at what's there, what's coming, and potentially make a purchase in the very near future, or, as I have done prior, a little bit spontaneous that day.
So one thing that's kind of facing all marketers is sort of decreasing attention spans. And so we've gone from 13 to 6 seconds, and that sort of impacts the retail experience and the expectation. So what is there a role that sort of that artificial intelligence can play in the shopping cycle, but also in the enjoyment of a vehicle? So how do you what are your thoughts on that?
So it goes back to what I said earlier. Think about your Gmail, for all of you that use Gmail, that promotion folder that was created. All the retail marketing goes straight there. How many of you actually click on every single one of those emails? Probably none. And the answer is because you're like, it's another advertisement, another sale. Okay, one more thing. But that's because they haven't mastered the art of connecting with just you for things that you would want. Once those emails start to become more targeted, you will start to open them, and no longer will they be spam. We're not there yet. I don't think we're anywhere near there yet. But that's what retailers need to do. I'm on my phone all day, and I'm probably looking at it every 2 minutes of the day. But I'm not clicking on every single email that comes to me. I'm not clicking on every little box that I see at the corner of my Facebook that says, okay, here's another advertisement for you. So you have to find out what works for me. What am I interested in? And that's one-on-one marketing. Because when you target my interests, I'll be more willing to look. And you have to do that whether it's through social media, whether it's through email, whether it's through print, anything, in any form or mechanism. It has to be a one-to-one connection. You no longer can segment me that, this is a female shopper, she has 2 kids, she's in this age group. Like, it doesn't work. This is me, and you have to target me.
I'll use one instance, talking a couple years back with one of our partners, Spotify. And they came in, did a presentation, talked about all their technologies they had coming down the pike, right? They have the ability to integrate into systems, audio systems, the computer of the vehicle, directly tied within their app that will communication back and forth that will say how far of a distance you're going, how far you've been driving, tied directly into the vehicle, how much gas is left, and ads from advertisers could be served up. For instance, you've been on the road for 3 hours now, Starbucks is going to serve you up an ad, or Dunkin' Donuts will serve you up an ad and say it's time for coffee, show your phone and here's 50 cents off or whatever it is. You're 100 miles away from an empty tank, you've been driving a bit, Shell could serve up an ad and let you know through your in between songs that are playing that there's a gas station 30 miles ahead, pull off, share some of the offerings the gas station have, if there's food there, if there's a cafe there, things like that. That technology is there, but it's not being used yet, which is a bit fascinating to me. So I think the technology is there, and again, as you said, AI takes a long time to integrate, but it takes a long time to integrate correctly. I think we live in a world where a lot of brands and businesses are really trying to push the latest and greatest technology forward for the sake of saying that they're there playing with it. It's not the right way to approach it. It's going to take time, and you have to deliver an experience that is valuable and beneficial to your customers.
The question is really how much time, because I had the chance to talk to Ray Kurzweil last summer, and I asked him, I said, when we think of rates of change, how do you think of this for artificial intelligence in particular? And he said, the next 100 years we'll see 20,000 years of change. So the automotive industry, OnStar was an innovation that, and going back to 1994, 22 years ago, the 4G connected Chevy car in 2016, and then 5G at some point. So at what point does it become an annoyance for you not to have the video on your phone to find out where the spare tire is because you have a flat? And where in the retail sector does it become an annoyance when you're getting all these dumb sort of emails saying, I don't know who you are, 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 and by the way, I'm going to reinforce that. So what is the pace of timing here? Is it 5 years? Is it 2 years? Is it 18 months? Because at some point, these consumers become intolerant.
Well, I mean, I personally don't see, and we haven't seen any data that shows that that any customers in the automotive space in general really getting annoyed by the technologies that are in vehicles. I think there's a lot of anticipation for what is next. When are the self-driving cars going to roll out? When is the infrastructure going to be there to support a fully autonomous world? It's a very exciting space right now. There's probably a small segment of people that are a bit annoyed that the self-driving autonomous vehicles are not available at a great rate yet, and the infrastructure isn't there. But as we look at the electrical car landscape and how quickly it's been adopted, and they're becoming more and more obtainable every year, the offerings are there, and it's only going to get better with time and technology. So, I mean, I think the quicker automakers can go, the quicker brands and businesses can go with their products, the quicker it will be adopted. I think it's a case-by-case basis. I don't think there's a rule of thumb of 18, 24, 36 months. It has to be done in a timely manner that makes sense and delivers a seamless experience, and that's the key. It's not a rush to the finish line for the sake of being there. It's a rush to get there and have the best experience and keep your current customers and bring more customers into the fold.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, there is no timeline, but I can tell you, I was just speaking to the head of IT at Kohl's, and they're migrating to the cloud, which I think is an important step to move faster with AI. It just makes it easier, it makes it faster. And when I asked them how long, the answer was sometime in the future. Now, I get that answer because it's a big organization, and you can't snap a light switch and just move everything in one shot. You have to pace yourself, you have to move segments, you have to move divisions, and you're probably going to do it in small batches rather than in one shot. So, could it be? I don't think it's 2 years. I think it's longer, my personal view. It may be 5 years, maybe 10 years. But I think the first step for retailers to move forward with AI is really to get their business on the cloud. I mean, that's the future, and many of them are not there yet, at least for the companies that I cover. But then when you see these younger companies that come to life, whether it's through Shopify, if you guys know that engine, you could start up a business in a day, and it's all AI. So look at who you're competing with. I mean, you're competing with someone that just came on board and has all the data to crunch at their fingertips, and you here are struggling as a 20, 30, 40, 50-year-old retailer to just connect with that customer. And your customer has the appetite to now look at everyone that's willing to entertain them. Before, you were loyal. When you shopped a brand, that is where you shopped. Today, because you have social media, you have a phone, you're more connected, you're more willing to explore. And that's the advantage that these digitally native emerging retailers have, that the legacy retailers have to compete with. But it's not happening in a matter of a year or two. This could be a decade-long story, and it's really going to be the retailers that can do it well, that can do it smart, and that can do it at a pace where they're not losing customers. Because you have to retain your customer and grow them, and that's not an easy proposition for any retailer today.
Yep. So is there anyone in automotive or in the retail sector that you think is approaching it the right way? And the right way is maybe making small bets, experimenting, because you're right, the future is daunting. It never comes out as we expect. There's always the law of unintended consequences, but there are those innovators that are trying different things. So is there anyone in your sector, in automotive and or retail, that's sort of just like Amazon, the Amazon stores that are self-serve? I mean, that's an experiment, but so what are you seeing out there that acquisitions or strategies that show promise?
Sure. I mean, I can start. So, in terms of retailers that we think will move ahead, that are trying to change, that are embracing the change, Nordstrom to me stands out. I mean, you heard, a store without inventory, Nordstrom Local in California, that was their first attempt to move and to come to be a retailer that is of the future. So it's still a test pilot. It's a showroom essentially where you have fitting room stylists, manicure, pedicure specialists, and you go in there, you have personal stylists show you clothes, you walk out without a bag, and it's delivered to your home with what you want. You have an experience, you have a glass of wine. So that was their first attempt. Then recently they just announced 2 acquisitions that they're going to complete, which really what they're doing is they're connecting with the customer. If any of you have shopped Nordstrom, it's about customer service. But it's based on the representatives that are there and that have been there, that know you and have built those relationships. What they're doing now is they're engaging every single associate in their store to have the technology to be essentially that specialized agent that can now connect with you and offer you what you like. So it's that one-on-one experience. They haven't started doing that yet. It's coming this year, but I think it's an attempt to move into the future. And they only have 138 stores or less than 150 full-line stores, so they're not overstored. So they've grown at a slower pace than the rest of retail has today, but that's smart because now they don't have to shrink. And they have smaller stores relative to a Macy's or a JCPenney. They're more curated. They have service, and they really, the company is still run by the family, the Nordstrom family, and I think they do a phenomenal job. They're laser focused on their customer, and you need to be today.
Very well put. I agree 100% with all of that, and been following what Nordstrom's been doing as well, and I think it's absolutely brilliant as one of their consumers sitting here myself. From an automotive perspective, I think all the big manufacturers across the globe are starting to test out new technologies, how AI and ML fits into the marketing fold, and how it offers a little bit more value to maintain consumer growth, customer growth, and push more vehicles. I'll give one example that just came out a couple weeks ago that was a pretty big deal. I'm sure a lot of you have seen. And it's really about not so much creating a new technology. It's leveraging partnerships. And the people that have the technology and do it well. We'll take Amazon's in-car delivery, for example, which was a hit a couple weeks back. It's exclusive between specific General Motors vehicles and Volvo. And you, with I think 2016 vehicles and beyond, certain models that are connected vehicles, you can tie your vehicle to your Amazon Prime account. And you can select your car as the delivery touch point for Amazon to drop off a package. It's a service that's being offered, and it's based on the intelligence within the vehicle, within the computer systems, and on the Amazon side. So, to me, and in my opinion, and what I'm seeing is automotive companies finding ways to enhance the in-vehicle experience, whether the driver is behind the seat or if the vehicle is parked. And I think that's the future we're looking at right now, and continuously growing with partnerships across the board.
So when you talk about partnerships, there are industries, for example, we talked about the casino industry. So the casino industry has been very adept at facial recognition for a decade. And Coke has used artificial intelligence in their supply chain, because if kids are playing soccer on a field and the Coke machine is at 40% and the red truck is close by, there you go. So are there other, you talked about partnerships, are there any other industries that maybe retail can learn from, or the automotive can learn from, or can you learn from each other? Because, you know, it will take 5 years or 10 years, as you said, but does it have to take that long? Can we learn from adjacent industries or unrelated industries and sort of help accelerate the process?
I'll take this one real quick. I think, yes, there's a lot of learning that can be done. When I stepped in here this afternoon, it was in the middle of a panel that was talking about kind of last year Alexa being the buzz, right? Well, this year it's changed a bit. We have Alexa, we have Google, we have the HomePod in my home. A little bit of a nerd with technology. We have them all, have tested them all. I have my personal opinions on which is best, but that's for later. It's finding ways in which brands can adopt that technology and live on that platform, right? If it can't just be Amazon, it can't just be the Google store. There has to be ways in which in the home this technology can be adopted to strengthen your brand position amongst competitors. If if you want to order something from Nordstrom, you know something is on sale, or you have an event coming up and you don't have time to get to the store, and you really are dealing with dinner with the kids and cleaning the house, and you're on a conference call, whatever. The fact that you can via voice command this device to order something for you, charge it to the credit card linked with your device, and have it shipped to your house overnight, 2 days, whatever it may be, that's a way in which businesses can adopt and actually leverage technologies to deliver a better customer experience in the home, which furthermore will more than likely drive somebody to their brick and mortar store when they have the time to go. So I think it's more of a story about adopting technologies and making the experience better in the home and growing from there.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't think there's a magic answer or a secret sauce that, a retailer can follow and it's like do this step by step and you'll achieve success. I think it's going to constantly change, and industries are going to constantly evolve. What works today may not work 3 years from now. So you have to have platforms, and that's the key. You have to have platforms that allow you to change and allow you to change fast. So when you're thinking about your own businesses and building some of this infrastructure, the key is it agile? Does it have agility to change with the changing times? And once you have that, you just, you keep spinning the wheel and you keep moving, because the wheel's never gonna stop. The consumers, got more information than they can digest. And I don't think we're going back from that. It's only getting faster and faster.
Real quick to build on that, I think we can all take a look back, let's say, even 5 years ago, much less 10 years ago, when social media, Facebook was opening up to brands, Twitter was there, then Instagram, now Snapchat. All these platforms that were there, big brands were very, very hesitant to invest time, resources, money into a space of the unknown. They took the proper time, which back then working in the advertising world, I was like ringing my head every day. It's like, what? Wake up, we need to be in this space. Why are we waiting so long to launch? But it made sense. You come up with a strategy, you understand the platform, what are the benefits for your brand to be there and offer value to your customer base and grow your customer base with this new platform that nobody really was educated on. Now it's second nature. You have to be there. It's a given, but it took time, and I think the same thing is true for AI, for ML, for any new technologies of tomorrow that are gonna come out. There is no secret sauce, as you said. It's about time, investing resources to understand, become experts, create insights, and create a roadmap for how this XYZ technology may or may not make sense for a specific brand or product.
Great. Last question before I open it up is, last year, Ericsson Consumer Lab did a study of around 20,000 consumers worldwide, and basically they said that the voice will replace the keyboard in 5 years. Now, I guess, television was going to replace radio and cables, so these statements have been made, but how big a role is voice technology in artificial intelligence?
So in retail, we've talked a lot about voice, and I think video is bigger than voice for shopping. I think voice has a place. I just think in retail, image-based shopping, video-based shopping is a bigger deal. and it's probably going to have a bigger success rate with shoppers. But that said, I mean, Alexa, Google Home, I mean, Siri, you name it. Like, you want to be able to talk and respond. So for automobiles, I think it's probably a bigger deal. But in retail, I really think that we're still very far behind to using voice to actually shop. I think video-based shopping, which you'll see a lot more of in my view, coming faster, and image-based shopping, whether it's through Snap or whether it's through just, you're watching a fashion show online and you can click on the images and find stuff that looks like it. That, I think, is more of a reality near term.
Yeah, I'll agree, and I'll piggyback on that. Automotive, absolutely. I mean, it's all about a safe driving experience, a connected, good experience, but safe first and foremost. Any new vehicle that's out there, name a manufacturer, the button is right there that you can press it and give a command, whether it's triggered to your phone or it's to turn the air or heat to a certain degree, what have you. So it's big and it's not going anywhere. It's only going to get smarter and quicker. Right now, I think it's about quickness. We're very impulsive. We have no patience as a culture for the most part. We want things now. I don't want to wait 5 seconds for the command center to be ready for me to give my command. Just let me press it, make the command, and give me what I want now. But I think it's in the home where voice is becoming huge. I have a 1950s bungalow that we've fully redesigned, and it's as smart as it can possibly get without being a new build. Everything is powered by voice. My lights are powered by voice. We have the Apple TV. We have all the connected devices. I have a 5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old, and they can, both of them, communicate in the home. They can trigger Peppa the Pig to come up on the TV. They can trigger a certain song, Justin Timberlake Trolls to come on. That was all last summer, so it's nonstop. They can tell Nest to turn the AC on or do whatever they want. They just make commands because it's fun. It's an absolute trip for me to watch as a father and somebody who's interested in this stuff, but the next generation is going to be powered by voice. They're not really going to know a lot about typing in commands. I think the computer will always be there, QWERTY keyboard will be there, but we are moving forward in voice, and it's absolutely brilliant to see.
Great. We have the emergency broadcast system activated, right. So please leave the room.
Apparently it's going to thunderstorm.
Yep.
Any questions for this panel? No? Yep. I have a question. Oh, was there one right here? Yeah, go ahead. Right.
About I'm Rob Sosin from MoMA. I had a question about predictive AI insights in retail, and do you have any like ideas of like how freaked out people are about like getting those AI like insights of like, oh, I was just looking at diapers online and now like I'm getting all sorts of ads for that, or like what you were saying about you could fill up the tank in a few like do we have any like hard research about like how many people are offended by brands kind of knowing that about us, or do you think that they're more willing to give that privacy over to brands if it means better service?
Well, I think we can look at what's going on with Facebook over the past year and see that people are more than willing to give over their information, whether they know what's happening with the data or not. Listen, predictive AI has been there if you really think about it. I mean, look at Amazon for the past 2-3 years. If you have a Prime account, I get suggestions every time I log on. Oh, you bought this lightning cable. Well, maybe you'll want to buy an Echo Dot. Or I was looking the other day for a book, of course. And it happened to be a digital book, which I rarely buy, but I wanted to go on and actually look for the paperback, but they only had digital. So it suggested that, it suggested the Echo Dot, and it suggested the Echo. I should buy all of them together. It's based on what my search preference is, and it's already predicting and giving me suggestions on what I should buy. Or you bought paper towels, a month and a half ago, you're probably due up. Those things are already starting to happen, and it's been there for a long time. It's about keeping it within specific platforms and allowing consumers the time to get used to that. I think, you look back when the ads started rolling on Facebook, when ads started rolling on Instagram, at first people were in an uproar about it. Now we're just used to it. It's just there, and it's almost like, looking for OLA ads on sites. We kind of have blinders on. Whoever's been in the digital space for a long time and has been consuming a lot of content on their devices, we have blinders on. We don't even see it. So I don't know what the latest is as far as the success click-through rate, but I know it's incredibly low. If we're looking at 0.003 as a success, then that just shows you how much people don't see it and don't really care.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think, I was talking to some consumer survey folks about privacy issues, and while yes, people are concerned when things happen like they did on Facebook, but that said, they're not going to opt out of every single advertisement that they see because, quite frankly, they enjoy it, right? If you don't see, when you're shopping Amazon, or if you're on Facebook, or if you're on Snap, and your friends are getting alerts from their retailers on this is what's happening, this is what's new, or what's interesting, and you're not getting any of that, you're out of the loop. And today's customer is all about staying in the loop and staying connected. So yes, privacy is important, but as long as it's not misused, I think everyone wants to be in the loop. And that's the only way to stay in the loop, is by sharing. We're in a sharing economy. I think there needs to be more sharing, whether it's across the brands, it's across the retailers. I think we just have to get used to sharing information for the better of all, rather than just, being narrowly focused on one thing.
Okay, I think we're out of time. Dan, Poonam, Michael, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Round of applause for them. Thank you.